Hi folks, how are you? Hope you're all okay. Second video within a couple of days. I'm feeling a bit oomph. Might as well film it while I can. So I think it's update 1 or 2 of my first entry to the group build that I'm running alongside a couple of other guys. It's on Facebook. It's the Israeli Defence Forces group build. It's on Facebook, and it's also, you can do your videos and that and whatever. This is my first entry. When I first come up with the idea of the group, I was, of course, like we all are at times. We're all like, oh great, let's go for it, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I sort of thought, well, let's go with just a couple of entries, but now it's turned into 3. This is the first one, and it's going on a Diorama Base. It's going to be basically the Gaza Strip. It's a Merkava Mark IV. It's the latest Meng kit. As you can see, it's now done. The only thing I just need to do is I've got a few water bottles and that I want to add to it, and I just need to dust up the tracks down here to add to the Diorama Base. What else have we done? So as any of you that follow me know, that with a lot of projects I do like to research them and make sure that I can do them as accurately as I can or whatever, but I've always said that sometimes I don't use proper research and that, and I just want to build it from how I like it or whatever else. So this one, though, I have tried to be accurate. This is a vehicle that's protecting the strip, the Gaza Strip, and the project is called Protecting the Strip. I'll show you the Diorama Base in a minute after we've talked through the kit and this. So one thing I've noticed with the Mark IV Merkavas are they do have, a lot of them do have white aerial masts and that, and they also do have small aerial masts on the side skirts on each edge. Now I have got them all ready to add on, so that's another thing I should have said I need to add on. So it's not 100% complete, but like I say, this is just like, an update, so it's not the final reveal or anything yet, so I don't need to worry. I just want to talk you through the bits of the kits and that, because I have been in a way a bit nagged at and moaned at for some comments I've made on Facebook and that, but I'm like, you guys all know that when I do my reviews or if I talk about a kit, I'm not paid for them, and I never will. I never have been recently, so I'll always tell you the truth. I mean, I'll even tell you the truth when I'm paid, if I ever get paid for doing a review or the kit gets supplied or whatever, but I'll always tell you the truth, because I believe that, nowadays these model kits aren't cheap, and you all deserve to know if they're crap or if they're good and whatever else. Anyway, so the Meng Merkava Mark IV, yeah, a lovely kit. A couple of guys have recently built that new rocket launcher that Meng have released. I know Phil Flory's built it, and Nigel from Nigel Modelling Bench, and they've both said that it's had a bit of overflash on the parts from Meng, and they seem to be a bit chunky and all that. And yeah, it is on this as well. It's almost like Meng's first few releases, like the Bradley and all that, they've really worked hard at it, and it's been spot on. It's been an amazing kit, because I built that Meng Bradley, and I still say to this day, I mean, I'm a big Tamiya fan, I love Tamiya, but I still say to this day that Meng Bradley with the full interior was the best kit I've ever built. It was just beautiful. It just, this has been okay. There hasn't been an awful amount of struggling or anything like that, but it does come with its problems. Now, when I've mentioned it online and on Facebook, people have slated me for it and said it must be user error, it must be me that's doing the things wrong. And to be fair, I'll always admit if it is me. As you know, I'll always be fair in that, and I'll own up if it is me. But I can't see how it has been this time. For starters, on the front here, let's just move you back a tit. underneath here we had a, let's move the light around so you can see okay. There was originally a gap here where, and I really had to clamp it to get it to stick. So there's going to be about a 2mm gap there at the front, and it just didn't sit right with me at all. And so that was the first issue, but of course it's now done, so that's okay. The mistake I did do, which I'll open up to, is the markings here. I actually didn't pay any attention to the instructions, and I put the unit markings there, but I also, which should be on the other side there as well, but what I actually did was put it on the back one as well, so it would have been all on the same side. So what I've done is, as you can see, I've cut away that side armour plate, and there's no marking on that side, so I'm just going to leave it basically and just say that it didn't have that, because all the shots I've seen of this actual in particular vehicle, I can't actually see this side, so it's sort of artistic license there. So yeah, the aerials are all white. That's just basically plastic stripping that I've added myself to the kit. It's the styrene stuff, whatever it's called. So I've cut that, and I've just added a few bits of black paint just to, you know, make it more noticeable. The rigging that I've used to tie it down, this is going to break now. That's right, that's better. The rigging that I've used, if you look on a lot of these vehicles, they have a lot of aerial mass and they're all tied down. Now the rigging I've used is, I wanted to try some of that MIG ammo rigging, and yeah, it's okay. It's definitely the Ushi Van Rosten rigging wire or whatever you call it, but yeah, it's okay. It does its job. It's elastic, so you know it's okay. It gives you a bit of give. So that's what they tied down with. If you do look closely at the aerial points at the bottom, the bases, they're not particularly great, because I tried to scratch build them myself so I could have them bent in places. You usually see that on a lot of Shermans in the Second World War. They'd have the aerials, you know, sort of cut back or whatever. So what I did is I used the original kit part and I just wrapped some wiring around it, made it as tight as possible, but they looked way out of scale and naff, to be honest. There's a couple on the back here which you probably won't see that well, just there and there, but you know, I haven't done it for a competition, I haven't done it for whatever, I've just done it for myself and the group build. The dusting and the weathering, I've basically used two products. One was, let's just have a look if I can find it. It's basically these two products. The first one is actually the AK aircraft landing dust, because it was a lovely colour, and I've just put it in parts. And then I used the pigments, the Sinai dust pigment, which if you want it is AMIG 3023, I think. Yeah, 3023. And basically what I did was added water to it, mixed it in, and I just basically give it a sludge wash everywhere. And then in parts like here where it would gather, I've just sort of just dragged it down and used a brush. But to be fair, again, I'm actually quite happy with it for a change, because those of you that know me, I'll never ever find anything that I do particularly happy, if you know what I mean. There was a massive issue with the ball and chain armour at the back. What I would recommend to anybody that's building this kit is perhaps add it towards the end of the build, because I added it, and I also had a photo etch set for it, but I decided I hadn't got the patience for that yet. So I just added the kit parts. Now in places there is bits missing, and then in parts around here, if you can see that moving, I actually did use the photo etch parts to add there, because I'd snapped them off and I couldn't find them anywhere. So if you're going to build this kit, one piece of advice I could give you is perhaps add that towards the end. The CCTV cameras here, a lot of these Mark IVs do have them on and attached. They're basically normally just there's a metal plate here that's normally moved off the top, and they're sort of bolted down. I wanted to add that different colour to that, so I used some of the AK Real colours I.D.F, modern I.D.F stuff for that, just so it's stuck out a little different. The colours I've used on this are actually Mig Ammo's Sinai Grey, is it, or something? Let me just have a quick look. Yes, it is. It's basically, I used this, which is the faded Sinai Grey, but it was sort of the most accurate colour I could find, and that's AMIG 066 if you wanted that. I'm not 100% fan of these MIG ammo paints, and if my go-to are always Tamiya now or the AK Real colours, but none of them were sort of accurate for this sort of kit without mixing them, and I don't particularly like mixing my paints, to be fair. So I used this and it's worked okay, and it looks pretty accurate on the colour. So that was another issue there with the ball and chain armour. What else have we got? The tracks. Yeah, the tracks are the workable ones, and you know you can put them together, but you seriously have to clean them up properly and remove the tabs, and there's like 4 tabs on each piece, so you've got to clean them up, and there's like 180 odd bits. So what I have done is I've cheated here, and I've just sort of just made the tracks enough just to go up to there. Now I thought originally, if you can actually see here, it's not on, but there's no sag in these Merkava tracks, and they normally stay up here. So unless you go down to table level, and actually, Luke, you can't see that there's no track there. So, and I'm not entering it for a competition or anything, so I'm happy with that. So that's that. I've added some water bottles. Now that's a bit of artistic license, really. I have seen one Merkava doing my research, but that was a Mark II that had got you know, these basically, if you don't know, they used them a lot in the Gulf War. The Americans used them on their tanks. It's just basically an empty water bottle, and what they'd do is they'd add a glow stick in them, so people could identify that they're there, you know, that you're not friendly firing or whatever. So I added some of them. The flag is basically the, let me see if I've still got it up here. Oh, I don't think I have now. It's basically Archer, I think they were, Archer sort of decals that you add onto whatever you're adding them onto, and then you sort of get the end of something hard and rub it down, and it peels off and goes onto that. I've actually tried for a change on tin foil, so I could you know, shape it in that, and it's okay. And I've actually added one onto the vision block there, the you know, the rangefinder there, just something a little bit different, you know. I've added wiring on for the identification panels there. The net here is actually AK's camouflage netting, and it's brilliant. I love it. It really is good stuff. So I shall definitely get some of them again. The wiring on the CCTV and the machine gun, I don't know if you can see that on the machine gun. Let's just bring you a bit forward just here. Doesn't come with the kit, so you have to add it yourself. That was just basically copper wiring, I think I've added on that, or fuse wiring. But basically everything else, apart from the CCTV camera and the add-ons and whatever, is all the kit parts. The rubber tyre in here is actually an old Meng one from a Meng set I've got. That'll be eventually tied on properly. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's it. The machine gun on the front is basically the kit. It looks lovely, you know, it's all comes separate, so you attach it all together. So that's quite nice. Just trying to think if there's anything else really. There wasn't anything major other issues really, to be fair. Everything else has gone on sort of a treat, to be fair. So with the airbrush and that, I've done the streaking with the airbrush with that ammo stuff. I've just, you know, just gone down, turned the pressure down and done some streaking with that. A lot of these Mark IVs weren't all that chipped, so I sort of didn't do much chipping on it at all. There's barely any at all. The slip pattern, the tread, is already on the kit, so I thought if I add any more it's going to look inaccurate. So yeah, all in all, it's okay, and I'm quite happy with that so far. So what I'll do is next, guys, I'll show you the Diorama Base. See you in a minute. Hi guys, so the Diorama Base. Yeah, it's pretty easy really. I mean, desert bases tend to be fairly easy because you could just use your odd few bits. You know, you don't particularly need all that much of stuff. What I have tried this time, I wanted to do, one thing I noticed is that a lot of the ground has got cracks in it because it's that dry in parts. So what I wanted to do is smooth that spring out the way for now. So what I wanted to do is try and make the crackling, you know, the crackle and the sand, the dry sand in, and I'm really pleased with how it's come out. I really am chuffed. It's basically the kit is it's basically foam board onto an old picture frame, and then some bits of foam underneath there to build up the bank and here, and then I've sort of just put plaster over it and built it up. And then for the sand, I've used some of this AK desert sand. It's AK 8020, and what I've done is I bet you, but I can't get it open now, can I? Oh, I have. It's like a sandy type of stuff, and then what I do is I just decant a little bit of it into a tub, and then I sort of water it down, and it goes really far. And then I'll go over with the airbrush certain sand colours. So here on the tracks where obviously vehicles have passed and that, it's got a bit darker in that. So that sort of works. But the crackling, let's see if I can just zoom in a little bit so you can see what I mean by the crackling. There. So if you can see, where are we? Here. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it's turned out. There's bits all over the place I've done, but that's what I mean by the crackling and the dry bits, because you do actually see that in these hot, warm climate countries. So I thought, why not try and give it a go? And I'm really happy with the way I've done it. Now, the way I've done it, what I've done is I've added some sort of plaster, but I've made it as thin as I could at first, and basically, as soon as it's on, I've dabbed it with a sort of a sponge and bits of paper to get the moisture out of it, and I've let it dry for a couple of days and come back to it, and it's cracked, and it's been great. It's done really well. And then when I've put paint on top of it, obviously it's fine, you know, as long as you don't smother it with paint and that, you're okay. These little grass tufts are basically the AK. I love some of these AK latest products, step tufts, the 12mm. Now you can get smaller ones, and basically what I do is I pull a few off and just chop some, you know, cut them to bits really. The dry fern, and that, I don't know if you can see it up here, is basically this, which I've got from when I've been taking the dog for a walk. I've taken that, picked some off and just put it into a little poo bag for the dog, and sort of added that. There are some bits which are these, again the AK, it's dry fern, and you just cut it out and you have to sort of shape it to your bits. They are okay, but you have to be careful, because when you're ripping some of them off, it does rip half of the plant sometimes, so you have to sort of take your time and just, you know, give it a bit of loving when you're pulling it off the piece. Now here I'm having, because it's the Gaza strip, a lot of Gaza strips had these jersey barriers, but the big versions of the jersey barriers. Now obviously they're going to look a bit wonky because I haven't attached them to the ground yet. Now these are from Diorama 1/35 scale dioramas, which I think Simon Kemp's little business is running on the side. They're brilliant, they really are good. The only thing I would say, if I have to be a bit nitpicky, is they're a bit, considering they're supposed to be the big one. If you ever research the Gaza Strip, they've got huge barrier walls, which are these, and no company does the big ones, and they're a little small more for my liking really, but you know, you work with what you got, don't you? So what I've done with these is I'm just adding two, just to give the impression that you know, it carries on, and then I've added a bit of graffiti on to them. I've just basically used an airbrush and really splattered it on. Added a couple of tufts onto there. That's the way it should be, like that. Then I've added a couple of I.D.F, you know, flags, Israeli flags on there. So yeah, that's that going to be there, sort of like that. Hopefully, I'll just put one on so you can see what it's going to be like. And then first attempt ever at a tree, so I did my own palm tree. That was basically plaster, some metal wiring on the inside, then some plaster, and I just simply just put it on bit by bit and then scored it. Ignore the coconuts or lemons, whatever they were. I was just playing around to see what they look. They're going to come off because they look too plastic, and I've just started painting the wiring up there, so I need to finish that off. But that's going to sit over here, and then of course the tank's going to come through here, and then I'm going to have these figures. I've started making them. I've just made the crouching down one for now, but I'm going to do them all. And then which I showed in my last update, the Israeli APC commander. I know it says Lebanon, but a lot of the tank commanders wear hasn't changed all that much, so I'm going to add him sort of standing with the troops or in the hatch, and it's just going to be like a little patrol going on. And I'm going to add a few bits of debris, you know, lying around. So this is just basically a bit of metal that I've crinkled, and that's just going to be and it started with the first layer of the rust. That's just going to be lying around. Then this is a plastic straw, which I'm going to add as though it's like a bit of piping or scaffolding or something. So I've started with the base colour, and then obviously I'll rust that a bit. Then there's these two sort of cleaning cans, domestic, you know, cans, and there's them two as well, which are going to be added. One or two might be added onto the tank in the stowage baskets. They are from this little set. I've had this for years. Plus Models plastic cans. Number 468. They come with decals and a little bit of photo etch for the handles that some of them have. So I'll add that on at a later date. They're just going to be scattered around in various places. That's them, and then I've got a couple of cans, oil canisters, which you've got to have around, so they'll be scattered around. They are actually heavy resin. Now if you look at the detail on these, it's very, very nice, the detail on them is. So that's going to be added on. Now they are from this little set, MIG Productions, strip metal drums. They're all resin basically. You just get them plain in a bag. You don't get any, you know, decals or anything with them, so you sort of have to add them yourself. And then of course for the back of the vehicle, there's the first Meng Trooper. They're okay, a bit of filler in the bottom so far, but I was working with no sort of sprue cutters with him, so I sort of had to make the best with what I had. And then there's going to be a couple of, excuse me. And then I've got a couple of these Meng water bottles that are going to be in the back of the stowage basket for the Merkava. So that's that. Let me just have a quick swig of my coffee, guys, sorry. So yeah, that's basically in a nutshell it for the diorama. Oh sorry, there's one more piece. A resin little mattress. I thought that'd be a nice little add-on just for lying around, you know, somewhere. So obviously I'll dust it up and add a couple of like little patterns onto it or something, and then dust it up and dirty it and leave it there. But all in all, I just thought I'd just, you know, add a few little bits lying around, because some of the research pictures that I've been doing and using is, you know, there is quite a lot of rubbish left around. I'll just pause you guys, I'll move all this, and then I'll show you what research material I'm using for the build. Hi folks. Right, so the first bit I'm doing is using is military vehicles in Lebanon 1975-1981. Now this is quite an expensive book, but you know me and my books, I absolutely love them. So, but this will be for the next kit I'm going to build for this group build is going to be the Tamiya Tyran 5, is it, I think. Now that's going to be a buddy build with Bill Ray. Bill, I know he posts a lot on Facebook. I don't think he's got a YouTube channel that I'm aware of, or if he has, he doesn't do many videos on it. I've got in touch with Bill quite a bit. We've been messaging and that, and he's become quite close and a good friend. But he's a truly talented modeler as well, he really is. But that's going to be a buddy build, and that's going to be the next sort of kit I'll be entering for this group build, the I.D.F group build. I'll put a link to the Facebook group underneath the description on this video. So that's the first one. Then another one I'll be using for that is this, Armies in Lebanon. It's an Osprey book. Now I can't recommend these Osprey books enough. They're pretty thin, and a lot of time, you know, but I don't know, a lot of the time a lot of people look at them and think they're a bit kiddified or whatever, but they generally aren't. I mean, for bits of reference for painting, you know, and stuff like that for your figures, it's truly brilliant, and some of the pictures in them are fantastic, you know. They're really good stuff to have, so that'll also go with that for then. And then for the main bit, well, for the whole build really, I've been using another Osprey boot, which is the Israeli Defence Forces since '73, and this is another book with, you know, a lot of good reference pictures, and there's colour sort of drawings, so you could work for the colours and that off them. So that's another one. Then again, another Osprey boot, which is the Israeli Army in the Middle East Wars from 1948 to '73. So that'll be mainly a lot for the Lebanon build really, but yeah, that's another little book I picked up. Again, another Osprey book. This one's a Modern Israeli Tanks and Infantry Carriers 85 to 2004. On the front here, it's got an Axerit, which is more of a troop carrier for the I.D.F. But again, if you look at some of the pictures and the colour pictures that there are in this book, it's absolutely, you know, it's really good for detailing and that. Now these, this is the next one. Now this is actually a weathering guide, but it's luckily for me and us in a way, if you want to buy one, it's all done on Israeli armour, which is brilliant. Desert Eagle Publishing do it, so you know it's going to be great, and AK are backing it for that. But if you look at some of the pictures on them, I mean, they really are truly good for you know, down the detail and that you can see on them is brilliant. So it goes through sort of them and shows you examples of the mud, because of course this is a weathering book all on mud really. And then I think, let's just have a look, yeah, on the back here, towards the back, it gives you actually the tank that I've just built, the Merkava Mark IV, and they go through this Christoph Pulling X or whatever, uses that kit to show you how to, you know, weather them, how he's done them, and you know, it's a step-by-step guide, and for people that aren't, I mean, I use it as well. Here you can see what I was talking about earlier with the little aerials on each sort of corner of the hull. But yeah, so that's another one. And then the main one I've been using is this. I got this in a sale actually, and it's Tankergrad Publishing, and it's a lot of the vehicles, you know, in the I.D.F. You know, it gives you all clear pictures and that, so I have been using that quite a lot to you know, work from. But yeah, I can't recommend that enough. I will say, I mean, a lot of people that know me know that I love my books, but a lot of these books I don't pay full price for at all. I tend to try and go on eBay or Amazon, and I try and get them second hand, because I mean, this one was second hand, and I mean, look at that, perfect. I mean, some of them come like this one's a second hand one and it's a bit dull on the edges, but you know, if you look after them, you've got them for life, haven't you? You know, so yeah, I recommend them. So that's it, guys. I've bored you enough now. That's enough videos now for 7 months, I would think. 2 videos from me. I know, I'm only kidding. So yeah, big shout out to Bill Ray for the project that we're going to be doing. But also, I want to just take time to just give one more shout out, and that's to Gav Booth. Gav has very kindly given me numerous shout outs over the last couple of months, and it has kept me going. It really has. He's a lovely guy, and he openly admits about his problems that he suffers with, and to do all that and be the way he is brilliant. He generally is such a nice guy, and some of his builds are incredible. He's just starting on 1/35th scale, and he really is. He talks himself down a bit too much though, because for the first sort of go, he did the Tamiya Merkava. And it's a basic kit, it is, but you know, it's still a model kit, isn't it? You know, and the job he's done on it is excellent. It really is. So check out Gav. I'll put a link in the description for him, so you can give him a try. Anyway, guys, thanks for following me. Thanks for staying with me. I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas. Please have a safe New Year and a happy New Year to you all. So may the force be with you. Bye, guys. Bye.